Christmas movies. The best way to get into the Christmas spirit after a long year. Because nothing says Merry Christmas like a family falling apart and then coming back together again in the spirit of Christmas.
Christmas movies have become a hot topic of debate this year. Everybody has a favorite movie and nobody's willing to budge.
To get to the bottom of this and to get into the Christmas spirit, we decided to compile a list of 10 of the most popular Christmas movies to decide which ones y'all should be watching this Christmas year.
But just about anybody can watch 10 movies in 2 weeks. So we decided to do the one thing that two unemployed 25-year-olds can do with free will.
Watch all 10 in one sitting without leaving. To start this challenge off, we had to pick 10 movies. We knew we wanted to include the classics, but we wanted some diversity in there so we could really get into the Christmas spirit.
You see, I'm Jewish. And coming into this, I really have two main goals. One, find out what Christmas is really all about. And two, make it on the other side after this 20-hour-long challenge.
So we put together this list. The true, objective, undeniable top 10 best Christmas movies of all time that we watched on a certain day. And if your favorite Christmas movie isn't on here, well, you're wrong.
We're going to be ranking these movies in 5 distinct categories: filmmaking,
Comedy,
Christmasness,
the villain,
and of course, the message. Each category will be scored out of 10 and then combined for a total score out of 50.
With all that out of the way, we're ready to start.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good morning.
Yeah, and happy Hanukkah too.
Start time-wise, it's 8:55, but I'm feeling excited. The Christmas spirit's in the air in this 80-degree California day, and I'm ready to let the Christmas spirit inside of me.
I'm scared. I'm terrified. This is about to be, what, like 18 and a half hours at least? It's 9 a.m. Good luck.
We're going to start with How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
How the Grinch Stole Christmas, an all-time classic with multiple great versions. Not that one. We decided to go with the live-action one with Jim Carrey, directed by Ron Howard from the year 2000.
I have to admit, this is a movie that even I've seen multiple times. Jim Carrey as the Grinch is absolutely iconic, and this just feels like the perfect starting point for our journey.
For those of you who don't know, How the Grinch Stole Christmas follows the citizens of Whoville as they prepare to celebrate Christmas. In this tiny town full of weird little mouse people, Christmas is pretty much their entire existence. Meanwhile, on a nearby mountain lives the Grinch.
The Grinch hates Christmas. Like, he does not fuck with it. Then this girl, Cindy Lou Who, asks around and turns out it's not his fault. The town shunned him, and so he kind of has to live in isolation.
Sydney reminds the town that Christmas is not about taking a loan for Amazon Prime Day deals or overspending on Christmas lights, although Martha May's light cannon was pretty epic. Anyways, they invite the Grinch down and end up humiliating him to the point where he has a major yet valid crash out.
The Grinch decides there's only one way to deal with this: commit a string of felonies and steal anything that even remotely relates to Christmas. Right as he's about to throw it all away, he hears the Who's singing. His heart grows 3 sizes, he returns the stuff, and everybody in Whoville forgives him.
This movie is honestly so well made, and the world building is so quick, everything just flows together. The fact that Jim Carrey had to be trained by a CIA operative to endure torture just to be put into the Grinch makeup truly shows the dedication. All in all, we gave the filmmaking a 9 out of 10.
We also thought it was genuinely hilarious.
This is not pudding.
The amount of great comedic moments amplified by Jim Carrey's performance feels endless. A solid 9.5 out of 10.
An extremely strong start to our day for the Christmasness. This movie is just start to finish all about Christmas and nothing else. 9.5 out of 10.
I found the villain, the town's mayor, to be a bit flat and uninteresting. He never really poses a threat. 5.5 out of 10.
And the message. This part of each movie, we're going to let you know what we personally thought the message was and what our rating is. And for the Grinch, it was simple. It's not always about the gifts. That's a solid 8 out of 10 for me.
I agree. I think this movie has a very straightforward message. Lou straight up says it.
You can't hurt Christmas, Mr. Mayor, because it isn't about the gifts or the contests or the fancy lights. Well, I don't need anything more for Christmas than this right here.
I agree with your 8 out of 10, but sadly I'm going to have to dock it a point.
Why?
I think it's interesting that this movie's message is super anti-consumerism, but in reality, this is a huge profit-making machine. Grinch merchandising is a top seller during the holiday season, and it's by far the most commercialized movie on this list.
Fair enough. All in all, How the Grinch Stole Christmas gets a very solid score of 41 out of 50.
Movie 1, down the drain.
Yeah, that was an easy watch.
Awesome.
It was very funny.
Perfect first movie.
I feel ready to watch fucking 9 more.
What time is it? It's 10:40. So very behind schedule. But I feel like we're just revving up, you know, we're kicking into high gear now.
I think we just jump into the next movie.
Let's do the next movie.
Yeah.
Okay, one movie down, and we're both in super strong, Christmassy spirits. What could possibly go wrong?
This movie was weird. I straight up don't understand why this is a Christmas movie. Like, at all. This movie revolves around this guy, George, who really wants to leave his hometown, but keeps getting sucked into capitalism and ends up staying.
After his father passes, he takes over the family-operated bank, alongside with his uncle, and he just starts handing out home loans like they're, I don't know, pudding at the celebration of the holiday cheermeister or something. Also, quick aside, this is the time period I'm supposed to believe that people had it harder than us. They bought these houses for what, $4,000? Are you fucking serious? Even after inflation, that's fucking crazy.
George then bailed out half the town during the Great Depression, all while this big, evil, capitalist goblin, Mr. Potter, is high on his tail trying to buy out the town from him. If we're being real, George is a great guy, aside from, the 1940s misogyny.
I'll call the police!
They're way downtown. They'd be on my side.
He consistently stands up for his community and sticks it up to the man over and over again at great personal cost.
At this point, you might be thinking to yourself, wait, isn't this supposed to be a Christmas movie? So far, this just sounds like a middle America banking in the 30s story. And honestly, you'd be right to question that.
This movie takes a sharp turn 90 minutes into its runtime.
George's uncle Billy loses $8,000, which is about $140,000 if adjusted for inflation. Mr. Potter finds the money and decides to screw over George's business. George has a catastrophic night and decides to take a dive off the local bridge.
But right before he goes for it, an angel jumps off the bridge. George does the sensible thing and jumps in after him, I guess? Wait, wasn't the jump meant to kill him? So now he jumps in to save the guy and he doesn't die? How does any of this work?
He saves the guy, who turns out to be an angel, as Jackson just said, and the angel shows him what it would be like if he was never around. It's all bad and awful, and everyone is much worse off. George realizes that his life is good because while he's been suffering, everyone else is happy.
He runs back to see his family, and the whole town decides to give him enough money to save the bank, and fuck it, an extra $25,000 on top from an old rich friend. Again, that's about $450,000 adjusted for inflation, and he gets it from just one friend.
Yeah, this movie is a bit of a mess, but its filmmaking is one of its highlights. It's too long and too heavily relies on a Deus Ex Machina, but still very solid. 7.5 out of 10.
The comedy was also not too bad. A few moments made us genuinely laugh out loud, but they were sadly too few and far between. 5.5 out of 10.
The villain was honestly one of my favorite parts. Mr. Potter is genuinely evil. He feels powerful and scary, and almost manages to corrupt George with a huge salary offer. 8 out of 10.
Christmasness is a rough category to rate here. Christmas is in this movie, but it really isn't a part of the plot in any way, and only appears for what feels like a short duration towards the latter half of the film. We sadly gave it a 3 out of 10.
The message. This is going to be a bit controversial, but hear me out here. I think this movie wants to have a message about mental health, or maybe the importance of family and community, but I really didn't feel that. I think there's a profound difference to the message a movie wants to have than the one it actually portrays. And this movie to me is all about money. George agrees to go to jail and we see him run to his family, but then almost immediately we see the town shower him with money. I know this is a bit cynical of me, but the film's finale from the moment he gets back to reality to the credits is 8.5 minutes. Out of that, 5 minutes are spent showering George with money, 2 minutes are spent running around town, and only a minute is spent with him and his family. I read this as money will make you happy. 1 out of 10.
Well, that was dark. To me, this film's message really is about the last 30 minutes of the film. We've seen it tons of times now, but to my knowledge, this was the first time in film we've seen the concept of, this is what the world would look like without you in it. And it's really a powerful thing. It's easy, especially around the holidays, to feel like you aren't enough, or people would be happier if you weren't around. And that is never the case, shown by this movie. The message to me is, don't kill yourself. 8 out of 10. With that being said, I didn't get that message to the last 20 minutes of a 130-minute movie, so fuck them.
All in all, we do think that this is generally a good movie, but this score reflects the fact that it's barely a Christmas one. 29 out of 50.
That wasn't a Christmas movie.
It was, the last 30 minutes of it was.
Not a Christmas movie.
They said Merry Christmas, I think, at least 20 times at the end there.
The Grinch took me to like 10, 15% into Christmas. This took me back down to 5%.
Started rough for me, but an hour and 45 went by, wasn't enjoying it. That last 15 minutes kind of got me in the Christmas spirit.
Other way around, I feel 5% less into Christmas.
Let's move on to movie number 3.
All right, Home Alone. Back to some actual Christmas classics. Seeing how Home Alone is the highest grossing movie on this list, I'm guessing y'all have already seen it, so we'll keep this brief.
Home Alone follows Macaulay Culkin as he defends his home from invaders after his family accidentally left him. Home Alone? Oh my god, that's the title of the movie! Oh my god!
His family absolutely hates him for some reason. And while it is an accident that they left the house without him, it is absolutely insane that they boarded a flight to France without him. So egregiously irresponsible. Also, his brother called him a disease. That's some pretty awful stuff.
This is another movie that I have watched a few times growing up. It's just one of those all-time greats that people watch all around the world. The second one was an even bigger favorite with my family, but we really didn't want to get political, so we watched this one instead.
We also have to mention that they are milking Macaulay Culkin dry here, and honestly, all in the 90s. He is a really great child actor, but they're asking so much of him, it's honestly crazy. But to be fair, he really does carry this movie. Also, it's super cute to see his little Oscar-winning brother in this as well.
I was honestly already getting pretty tired at this point, especially after the 2-hour-long slow burner that It's a Wonderful Life was. So I was surprisingly happy with how well this movie holds up when you're an adult. There is plenty in this movie to keep people of all ages entertained.
The movie is extremely well made. The production nearly doubled their initial budget to $18 million, and you can really feel it. 8.5 out of 10.
The Christmasness is pretty high as well. The movie isn't about Christmas in the same direct way the Grinch was, but it is clearly about Christmas values and takes place during Christmas from start to finish. 7.5 out of 10.
The comedy in this movie is top-notch. It has an endless supply of great jokes and the obvious slapstick comedy. What surprised me the most, though, was the Polka King's morbid story about his kid. It genuinely had us dying laughing, but honestly, I don't know if it was supposed to. 7.5 out of 10.
The villains, my god. I remember the Wet Bandits being pretty good, but they over-delivered. They are an insanely funny duo with electric chemistry. No wonder they bring them back for the second movie. 9 out of 10.
The message for me was a rather basic Christmas one of Christmas is the best spent with family, or whatever. But that really doesn't even stick to landing. Even if that is what you take from the movie, Kevin only has a couple moments of sadness, but for the most part, he truly is never punished and he seems to be having fun the whole time. 6 out of 10.
I have to agree that the message of this film is the weakest part when it comes to rankings. I wrote it down as, kids can be smart and badass too. I like that it inspires kids to be brave and believe in themselves, but a kid emulating this can get in some serious trouble. 6 out of 10.
And before you come at us, we agree that the message of the film is supposed to be about the love and strength of family or anything like that. But truthfully, his family hates him, and it really doesn't change when they're all back.
All in all, Home Alone gets a very respectable score of 38.5 out of 50.
Well, now that's how you get in a Christmas mood.
Back in the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, for sure.
It's 337.
Oh my god, it's okay, it's 337, and we have...
Running behind.
How many movies to go?
7.
No, we have 7 more movies?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think we're gonna make it in time. Oh god. Alright, we just gotta get it on. Let's get it on.
Start.
Oh shit, here it is, and Junie's joining us for this one.
Up next is A Christmas Carol from 2009. Now, we know what you're saying. This is one of the more controversial picks of all of our movies, and honestly, we can't defend it. We heard that it was good, and we thought it would be good for diversity, but honestly, and I'm not exaggerating, this movie fucking sucks, and I hate it so much.
Yeah, this movie was absolutely abysmal. Like, everything about it was bad. Before we started, I wrote in my notes, feeling pretty alive going into this, excited for more Jim Carrey. It was only 4 p.m., and within 10 minutes, I almost fell asleep.
And because we both had to suffer through that, we're going to break down for you exactly what went wrong with this movie. So without further ado, join us for this awful journey of A Christmas Carol.
This movie tells the classic story of Ebenezer Scrooge, a guy who hates Christmas, hates joy, and seems to be running a 24/7 no vibes allowed policy in Victorian London.
Right out the gate, the animation is confusing, because while later on there are some incredible moments, it starts off looking like the least animated movie of all time. It's almost like a cutscene from a PlayStation 2 game.
So Scrooge is basically a rich hater who treats charity like it's a scam email. He's mean to Bob Cratchit, and he thinks Christmas is dumb. Then he gets warned by his old business partner who shows up as a ghost, and he's like, hey man, being evil has some serious consequences. But the movie can't just have a conversation. It has to have Marley's ghost do an extreme sport demo.
And that's a big part of this movie. I know they were trying really hard to wow audiences with motion capture and all that jazz, but they definitely went overboard. You guys remember how in the late 2000s, early 2010s, every animated movie had to have at least one big 3D moment? Well, this movie has like 15 of those.
You'd think this would keep the movie more interesting, but no. Even with all the chain slinging, clock tower falling, rooftop swaying shots, this movie still manages to drag on for an eternity.
And don't forget about this movie's obsession with 3D. Yes, I am back on it. It's like, here's a snowflake flying at your face, and here's a chain flying at your face, and here's a fucking rat for some reason flying at your face.
It's just ridiculous. The director is basically sitting there going, hey, you got your 3D glasses on? Hey, put the glasses on. Yo, you paid extra for those glasses, right?
And it's not enough that each scene on its own is mind-numbingly slow. The whole movie has awful pacing. It feels like it's waiting on you to lose your attention. The beginning of this movie is a whole lot of Scrooge walking somewhere, Scrooge being annoyed at something, Scrooge saying humbug in a big empty room, and like, we get it, this guy's no fun at parties, move on.
And seriously, the 3D, I'm fucking telling you guys, it's fucking enough with that. I'm sure that for its time, the mocap was very impressive, but honestly, it just doesn't hold up. Every middle-aged guy in this movie just weirdly looks like Quentin Tarantino for some reason. Everything is waxy and uncanny, and it's not even the enjoyable type of bad animation.
Jim Carrey does bring some good energy at points. Like, the ghosts can be fun in their own little way, but I have to say, the Ghost of Christmas Past is absolutely abysmal. I mean, it's diabolical. That little candle creature is gonna haunt my nightmares forever.
I thought Scrooge's origin story of a hater is okay, but then I realized his switch up from a happy young guy to a despicable, money-loving, emotionless husk is kind of instant. It feels like one scene he's just this great guy, and then bam! He's yelling at his wife for some random shit about money.
It feels like because this movie is aware of the fact that most people know the story, it chooses to skip over any emotional beats and developments in this section in favor of us flying through the sky. Man, they're really pushing this 3D shit, huh?
The Ghost of Christmas Present is pretty good. The Cratchit struggling works well, and Tiny Tim is really sweet. It forces Scrooge to confront his logic and break down what it actually means to people around him. It is not at all subtle in its messaging, but it doesn't really need to be.
The Ghost of Christmas Future is really cool in my opinion. The vibe is very creepy, and that's good. I think this section has some of the best visuals and continues with on-the-nose messaging, but even with those small victories, this movie just cannot stop taking huge L's.
Agreed. This section is for some reason an unnecessary long sprint through darkness. The visuals are cool at times, but why take a scene that is meant to show us the horror of him dying alone and unloved and make it some sort of haunted maze at Universal Horror Nights or something?
It kind of feels like this whole movie turns into this weird horror Christmas video game, but like not in a satisfying way.
Yeah, or some sort of roller coaster ride. It's like the whole movie is meant to get you buying tickets to some sort of Scrooge land. All the flying and falling and sliding down things.
By the end of this film, I started really regretting having this as a choice for us. I understand that this core story is a Christmas classic, but this is just not the right representation of it. The one positive is that this movie came up only 4 into this challenge. Honestly, if this movie came in at 6 or 8, for example, I probably wouldn't be able to finish the challenge.
The filmmaking in this film is impressive for its time, but it does over-rely on these 3D jump scares and the promises of motion capture without actually delivering on it. And seeing how this came out the same year as fucking Avatar,
This was easy to score a 6 out of 10.
For Christmasness, we were a bit split. I thought this movie is evidently a Christmas story, but Jackson believes it isn't as much as it seems. We averaged to 7.5 out of 10.
The comedy in this movie is almost non-existent. We decided to do this movie a favor and give it a point for every time we laughed and or smiled. With that being said, it got a combined score of a 2.5 out of 10.
For the villain being some abstract combination of all the ghosts and Scrooge himself, we gave it a surprisingly high 5.5 out of 10.
and the message, fuck man, I don't know, I might have lost the plot, but personally, felt like it was a movie that was telling us to be kind and share our wealth. And don't get me wrong, I don't think this is a bad message or anything, but just like with the Christmasness, it just feels so generic and non-specific. And with how on the nose everything is, it just doesn't feel worth it for what the movie is. 6 out of 10.
All right, here's the thing. I know with how bad this movie is, this might come as a surprise, but I did really love the message of it. I mean, yeah, it's a bit on the nose, but we all kind of need that sometimes. I agree that it's about being kind to others, but it's also about improving. I think a big part of it is Scrooge learning to be better on Christmas, but as he says, act like it's Christmas every day. And what can I say? I'm a sucker for that even after a bad movie. 10 out of 10.
Wow, what an absolutely insane score to give this movie. Okay, well, with all that said, the movie totals out at still an awful 29.5 out of 50.
We do want to make it clear, though, that while this movie scored higher than It's a Wonderful Life, we think that it's a much worse film. The only reason it scored higher, it's because it's a lot more Christmassy.
And after a little while, it still didn't sit right with us, so we decided to dock the movie an extra 3 points for, yep, you guessed it, the 3D glasses, ending up with a 26.5 out of 50.
That was a movie. Even though it's only 90 minutes, it moves so slow. I could fall asleep 10 times during that. Aside from that, though, I feel very Christmassy after. I'm at like a 50%. Like a 50% Christmas. 50%. By this rate, I'll have a Christmas overload by movie 8.
I feel like Scrooge took all my Christmas energy, by the end of that movie.
He took yours, he gave it to me.
Yeah, well, gave it to Tiny Tim, maybe. God bless us.
All right, well, definitely after that, for movie 5, what time is it right now?
It's 5:17.
5:17. Gotta run to the store, get some energy drinks. I think that's the play.
Yeah, and maybe a bag of chips or something.
Let's do it.
We were really feeling it at this point, and hell, Leo nearly ruined the whole challenge by almost falling asleep.
We walked our asses to our local corner store, our 7-Eleven, and loaded up on some snacks and energy drinks to keep us fueled for the adventure. And hey, nothing better to chew on than Ryan Trahan's Joyride. Not sponsored, that shit is just good.
Speaking of sponsors, we don't have any. So if you like this content and want to support us, consider checking out our Patreon.
We are doing some pretty cool stuff there and have a few different tiers if you're feeling generous this holiday season.
Thank y'all for supporting us, and we appreciate y'all so much.
Now back to the video.
I think we were both feeling the effects of watching so many movies in one sitting, and so getting the steps in felt incredible. And with that, we decided to watch a movie that we knew would at least keep us from falling asleep, Jingle All the Way.
In this movie, we follow the Honorable former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Howard in the case of this movie. He's your stereotypical dad around the holidays, stressed out, trying to balance work life and home life. We open the movie as he is trying to frantically make it to his son's karate thingy, but he stays at the office too long and misses the whole thing.
To make it up to his son Jamie, he tells him that he will help Santa get him whatever gift he wants. Jamie, of course, wants a Turbo Man. This universe is Cabbage Patch Kid or Tickle Me Elmo.
The next morning is Christmas Eve, and Howard has to hit the town in search for a Turbo Man action figure, and get home in time to get to the Christmas Eve parade with his family.
Complete side note here, but when the fuck does this parade start? We see Howard leave his house in the morning while his wife and kids are already awake and eating breakfast. He then proceeds to hit up every store in Minnesota, chase small children in the Mall of America, and deal with bomb threats, all before his family even leaves for the parade. When the fuck does this parade start? Midnight?
Anyways, Howard quickly finds out how difficult it's going to be to find a Turbo Man, as the store employees literally laugh him out the store. He meets Myron, a postal worker played by Sinbad, and can I just say, Sinbad is absolutely amazing in this film. Supposedly, he improvised most of his lines, just goes to show how much of a legend he is.
Things just keep getting crazier from here. The former governor of California chases a little girl through a playground and hopes to get a small ball that might give him a tiny chance of winning a Turbo Man.
He then gets wrapped up in a shady underworld of mall Santas, where they try to rip him off by selling him a broken foreign Turbo Man.
Then, after a great scene between Myron and Howard at a diner that me and my dad still quote to this day, Myron somewhat accidentally kind of blows up an entire building.
This whole thing is happening while the best character in the movie, Ted, is making moves on Howard's wife. Every wife in the neighborhood is obsessed with Ted, but he is set on Howard's wife. And he provides this movie with some of the best one-liners.
Anyways, after this day of antics, Howard comes home and attempts to steal Ted's Turbo Man, but gets caught by his wife and Ted, who decide they're going to leave Howard and go to the parade without him.
The former governor of California punches a reindeer and then realizes he has to make it to the midnight parade for his son Jamie.
But due to some weird circumstances, he ends up playing Turbo Man in the parade.
Listen, we do not have time to explain this. We still have 5 more movies to watch.
The Turbo Man gets to give out a toy during the parade, and of course Howard's going to choose his son Jamie.
But Myron hasn't given up either, and dresses up as Turbo Man's enemy to try to steal the Turbo Man doll. And our final action scene commences. Let's just say some of the effects haven't aged perfectly.
Howard, of course, saves Jamie and gives him the Turbo Man doll. But once Jamie finds out that it's his dad who's behind the mask, he decides he wants to give the Turbo Man to Myron because...
Yeah, I don't know about that, kid.
All in all, this was a much-needed pick-me-up after Scrooge McSnooze.
The filmmaking is pretty good for what it needs to be. Nothing crazy, but it gets the job done. We agreed on a 6.5 out of 10.
The Christmasness is real in this one, which almost takes it down a bit. It doesn't fully give you that whimsy that other movies do, but it definitely reminds you of the chaos that comes with Christmas shopping. We settled on a strong 8 out of 10.
For comedy, we had to go 10 out of 10. The LPM, chat, just so you know, LPM stands for laughs per minute, it's just slang, is at an all-time high for this one.
I had the villain score pretty high because of how much I love Sinbad and Ted in this movie, but realistically, I guess they're not perfect, so we settled at a 7.5 out of 10.
Okay, you guys are going to call me cynical, but once again, the message in this movie wants to be one thing, but ends up saying something completely different.
When Jamie says that he doesn't need the doll because he still has Turbo Man at home, he's implying that that's still the only thing that matters to him.
The message I'm getting is the only way to a kid's heart is materialism and unrealistic acts of heroism. 3 out of 10.
Oh, stop being such a Grinch. This message is just spend more time with the family. 7 out of 10.
Overall, that brings our final score to a respectable 37 out of 50. Bring on the next movie.
Okay, so it's 7 p.m., but that was a great pick-me-up.
That was.
Like, after Scrooge McSnore, that was pretty good.
I feel re-energized.
Oh, yeah.
Revitalized.
Yeah.
We're at that halfway point.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
Just think of what we've already done so far and think about doing it again.
We started, at 9 a.m. this morning?
Yeah.
God. All right, well, that's rough.
So once we finish this movie, we'll be 12 hours in.
Jesus Christ, dude. Well, that's something, I guess. But I'll say my Christmas level, 70%.
That one bumped me back up. I'm no longer Scrooge. I'm back up to 50%.
There we go. We'll take that. Yeah, 70% Christmas. I think I'm starting to really get what Christmas is all about.
The next movie we had was Die Hard, which neither of us had ever seen before. And we heard it's pretty controversial when it comes to a Christmas movie, so we're here to put that debate to bed once and for all. As people who've watched 5 Christmas movies before this, I feel like we are perfectly equipped to do so.
I'm personally really excited for this one. I mean, this is Jake Peralta's favorite film. And honestly, we kind of needed a break from like pure family movies that you watch with your kids. Time to kick some ass with some action.
Die Hard follows John McClane, a cop from New York who flew to LA on Christmas Eve to try and patch things up with his wife. He comes to her company's holiday party at Nakatomi Plaza, where she's some hotshot something or other.
Honestly, I have no idea what this company is supposed to be in business for. All we see them do is debauchery, boobs, drugs, boobs, and the most high-tech vault of all time for some reason, holding some treasury bonds.
And boobs.
Oh yeah, and boobs, of course.
So he shows up to this party, complains a bit, and all of a sudden a group of mostly German terrorists led by Alan Rickman bust in and take over the party. They take the employees hostage and John McClane manages to slip away.
At this point, the movie becomes a 1v20 clutch or kick situation, where McClane is on some solid snake shit, trying to be as sneaky as possible while picking off the bad guys one by one. He tries to get the cops' attention, but they don't believe him at first.
The first turning point in the film is after he takes out a bad guy, John McClane sends him down in an elevator to send a message to Hans. This works so well to paint McClane as some badass and to start forming a crack in Hans' cool exterior.
Hans, played by Professor Snape, rest in peace, is an absolutely masterful character performance and serves as a perfect balancing act to McClane. John is chaotic and rushed in his decisions, while Hans is playing a slow and calculated game.
Meanwhile, outside we meet Al Powell, a perfect cop who's done no wrong ever in his life.
I shot a kid.
John takes this opportunity to grab his attention by throwing a fucking body out of the window, all while fighting more of Hans' goons.
Now is the point of the movie where if you somehow haven't realized yet, you realize you're watching an absolute masterpiece. This is genuinely one of the best action films I've ever seen. It is so fucking sick. Hans is sick, McClane is sick, the fighting scenes are sick. This whole movie is just absolutely badass.
While Al tries to get more help, he becomes John's most trusted source of information, as they use a walkie he got from one of the bad guys to communicate. This means the bad guys are also listening in on the conversations, so they have to be careful and discreet.
Hans is not working on his real plans. This isn't a terrorist attack at all. It's a heist. He got his nerdy sidekick working on the vault, and his big German boy band working on some mysterious C4 contraption.
John is doing everything in his power to fight the bad guys without getting caught, and it leads us to an awesome cat and mouse scene where John is constantly risking his life trying to escape one direction. He crawls through an iconic vent and almost gets caught.
This whole time, John's wife is taking charge and trying to keep everybody calm. But random cocaine man decides to speak up and make everything 10 times worse for everyone. Hans didn't know that was his wife, but now he does.
You might be wondering, with all the gunfire, explosion, boobs, hostages being shot, where are the police? Oh, don't worry. The police are right downstairs, debating whether John McClane is a real terrorist or not, instead of, helping out. It's honestly infuriating how dysfunctional they are, so much so that I thought they were in cahoots with the terrorists. With the exception of our sweet angel Al, of course.
I shot a kid.
Hans and John have a brilliant little sequence where Hans pretends to be a hostage to get close to John, and it seems like he almost buys it. But after a slip up from Hans, it's clear John is aware of what's going on, and we're back to violence.
John realizes they're planning to blow up the roof with the hostages on it, and manages to get everyone inside safely before it explodes, all while being shot at by the fucking FBI choppers. God, this guy cannot catch a fucking break, and it's so awesome to watch.
Hans's goons manage to crack the vault, and we're into some true action movie chaos now. John goes down to rescue his wife and finish what he started, so he pulls off the now iconic trick of the gun taped to his back.
Hans falls out of the building in a perfect slow-mo ending to end this epic, violent, bloody story. This movie was so fucking awesome, and I was so dialed I didn't take any notes while watching it. Truly one of my favorite action movies as well.
Being 6 movies in, this was an absolute blessing for the challenge. So much energy and action, it's definitely woken me up, and I'm riding this high after. This is the best I've felt since we started, for sure.
To get this out of the way first, this is a Christmas movie. It has Christmas music, a Christmas setting, and Christmas dialogue. Now, can this whole thing happen on any of the other 364 days as well? Kind of. The building is empty except for the Christmas party, but I guess that could happen on any other day as well. We gave it a 5.5 out of 10.
The comedy was surprisingly good. Multiple moments where Bruce Willis shines as John McClane are highlighted with his satirical comedy.
No fucking shit, lady! Do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
7 out of 10.
The filmmaking here made us reconsider how we've been ranking the rest of this list. This is a true masterpiece in its genre. Absolute cinema. From the writing, acting, and stunt work. Everything in this movie is in perfect harmony to deliver what is objectively a great experience. 10 out of 10.
And the villain, my god. Alan Rickman delivers a masterful and memorable performance as Hans Gruber. He completely elevates this movie. What makes Hans work is that he's composed, articulate, and insanely charismatic. The type of villain who's always 3 steps ahead. Rickman gives him restraint instead of rage, which makes every small shift in his expression hit so hard. He gives this movie a real sense of tension because you truly believe he has the upper hand the whole time. 10 out of 10.
I agree. If we could, we'd give him a 12 out of 10. And for the message, I kept it simple. Fuck terrorism, love your wife and kids. I think that's what the movie's truly about. Sue me. 7 out of 10.
Yeah, the message I got was honestly even simpler. Bad ass. And I guess love your wife and kids and a chance at redemption. Shout out Al.
I shot a kid.
8 out of 10.
All in all, Die Hard ends up being an extremely enjoyable watch. I mean, it's a movie I'll definitely be watching again and lands a strong score of a 40 out of 50.
6 down, 4 to go.
At the beginning of this movie, we had 502 minutes left out of 1,000 whatever.
1,024.
And now we have 370. That feels good. This movie was also fucking sick. So I feel great.
I'm feeling way better than I was.
I feel like this is doable now.
Yeah.
4 more movies.
It's 9:28.
At 9:28 p.m. I think we can finish this by 2 a.m. Maybe.
If we're lucky.
Let's hope. Let's try. Up next is The Santa Claus, a movie that many swear by, but also gets left out of some people's lists. We might be 7 movies in, but we are fresh off some good energy boosts given to us by Die Hard, and this movie just keeps that momentum going.
We follow Scott Calvin, who's a toy executive and a bit of a Grinch. He clearly isn't too fond of Christmas as a single father, but he does love his son Charlie. His wife Laura and her boyfriend Neil get Charlie for Christmas Day, so Scott gets him for Christmas Eve.
It's clear that Charlie prefers Laura and Neil, but all that changes on Christmas Eve when Scott accidentally murders Santa and is forced by the Santa Claus to take his place. You get it? Like, Claus?
Anyways, Scott and Charlie are forced to finish delivering all of the presents and end their night back at the North Pole, all before waking up back at Scott's home the next morning.
While Scott is convinced that this was some sort of weird LSD trip, Charlie is now 100% believing that his dad is the real Santa Claus, which obviously starts to raise some red flags for Laura and Neil.
They think that this is some sort of ploy Scott is using to get closer to Charlie. And it doesn't help that over the span of a couple days, Scott puts on over 25 pounds and starts growing a big white beard.
Every adult around Scott rightfully assumes that he has lost the plot and truly believes that he's Santa, as he continues to transform with each passing day.
As they approach another Christmas the next year, Laura and Neil put a restraining order on Scott, which devastates Charlie.
On Christmas Eve, Scott breaks the order and goes to say goodbye to Charlie. But instead, they magically teleport to the North Pole again and begin a whole nother night of delivering gifts.
Laura and Neil are rightfully terrified and alert the police, who are now on the lookout and capture Scott. After that small hiccup of getting arrested, Scott finally returns Charlie along with gifts for Laura and Neil that prove that Scott truly is Santa.
The movie ends with Laura burning the restraining order and Scott accepting his responsibility as Santa, leaving us feeling all warm and fuzzy inside.
Even if for some reason the VFX team could not put him in the sleigh.
The filmmaking is obviously not perfect, but the writing and performances are so good we could not go lower than a 7 out of 10.
I don't think any movie could top this one in the Christmasness category. It really puts you in the Christmas spirit from start to finish. We both had to agree on a 10 out of 10.
The comedy is solid, but we weren't really belly laughing or anything, so 7.5 out of 10.
The villain's a tough one because there really isn't one. Everyone's kind of in the right here. Is the villain Neil, the police? I don't fucking know, man. 4 out of 10.
The message is a little iffy too. We're kind of getting a believe in things even if people think you're crazy vibe. I don't know, we're 7 movies deep and I'm out of Joyride. 6.5 out of 10.
This gives us a total of 35 out of 50.
Not too shabby.
It's 11:17.
Yeah, and we have 3 movies left. 270-ish minutes.
273 minutes.
And I feel like we're on a high. I mean, the last 2 movies were great.
The last 3 movies. I mean, I think Jingle All the Way really put us where we needed to be for Die Hard to really kick us into high gear.
Yeah.
And then the Santa Claus just brought me right into Christmas town. I feel like it's December 24th, leaving out cookies and milk for Santa. Gonna pretend to go to sleep, so he sneaks down, and I'm gonna be like, just kidding, we're still on movie 7. You still gotta wait 3 movies, you know?
I will say I'm at 100% Christmas. I genuinely believe nothing can take me down.
I think I'm at 100% Christmas.
Ah, yes. It's almost midnight, but fuck it. I am riding the high of our last 3 Christmas movies. Jingle All the Way, Die Hard, The Santa Claus. I can safely say the Christmas spirit is inside of me.
Let's keep riding this train into the next one. Am I right? Guys?
The Polar Express. Fuck me, guys. This was a hellish one to watch. It may not have been the worst movie of the challenge, but the fact that we started at just shy of midnight definitely helped solidify as one of the worst experiences of the day.
Now, we know that some of you freaks out there absolutely swear by this movie, but we cannot justify catering to nostalgia when it comes to a movie this bad. We're just ripping off that Band-Aid now, okay? We do have some nice things to say about it, so don't start commenting about us being haters just yet. Hear us out first.
Alright, here's what this movie's about. This little twerp is on the fence about Santa existing. He gets woken up on Christmas Eve by this big-ass train, the titular Polar Express. And guess where it's heading? The North Pole. Of course.
Tom Hanks plays his dad, the conductor, this hobo guy, Santa, and like half the population. It's a really weird decision, reminiscent of Jim Carrey in A Christmas Carol, but worse.
So the kid gets on this train with a bunch of other children, including a know-it-all kid, who perhaps is the most annoying and awfully designed character of all time, the shy girl who exists to be some sort of moral center of the whole movie, and some rando who absolutely has 0 clout.
And then the movie just becomes a sequence of train-themed chaos with basically no connective tissue. Hot chocolate musical number, now we're on the roof, now we're drifting on ice, here's some caribou, the train is doing parkour. It's not a story, it's a collection of failed Mario Party minigames.
And the animation, God. I mean, I know it's 2004, but when I look at the faces, I really have to wonder if humans were ever truly meant to be animated. Everyone has this dead look in their eyes, like they're not awake. It's kind of uncanny, and I truly don't like it.
On top of this, the vibes in this movie are all out of whack. The movie wants to be magical and cozy, but just keeps slipping into horror. Like, what's really even the point of the haunted hobo guy on the roof? Or why is there a 2.5-minute long suspense sequence of a ticket flying around? What are we doing?
But because we said we'd be fair, there are some things that the movie does well. The concept is pretty cool, even if it's not executed in the most ideal way. The train's fun, and the North Pole is kind of awesome, even if it's a little stupid.
The bell is a nice moment. It's sweet. It works. But I just don't think it warrants the 2-hour nightmare train Olympics we had to endure to get here.
Another nice thing leads us right into the scores. The Christmasness in this movie is very high. The whole movie is about believing in Santa and revolves around Christmas as a whole. With that being said, we do feel like it missed the mark on some things, but it still scores a respectable 8 out of 10.
It is sadly all downhill from here. The filmmaking in this movie is what happens when you shoot way too high and everybody is scared to tell you no. The technology just wasn't there yet for this type of animation, and we felt as though this movie suffers greatly from it. 5.5 out of 10.
Comedy is weird with this one because I feel like we laughed at moments that we weren't really supposed to, and never when the movie actually wanted us to. 3.5 out of 10.
The villain. Who? Or what? Another great way to show you how this movie fails. It has no story, no stakes, just a bunch of random events back to back without even a goal in sight. 1.5 out of 10. The hobo was a little scary.
The message I got from this movie is something they say directly in the film. It doesn't matter where the train is going, it just matters that you get on. And that is just a really weird message. 4 out of 10.
Yeah, and unsafe if you think about kids trying to apply that in real life. I also see a world where the message is about believing in Santa, but it falls apart quickly. While that's his goal in the movie, we don't really see how that benefits him or anyone else. 3 out of 10.
Damn. With all that being said, this movie scores a measly 22 out of 50.
That was grueling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's like when it came in the day. I know Polar Express slaps for a lot of people. That was a tough watch. It's 12:56, 8 down, 2 to go.
At this point in the challenge, we were honestly really struggling. We've been watching movies for 18 hours straight. We didn't really get a lot of sleep the night before. And to make things even worse, the last movie really took the wind out of us.
Up next is yet another controversial pick. A lot of people argue that this movie belongs with Halloween, but we disagree. We're also hoping that a slightly shorter movie like this can help us make it to the finish line.
The Nightmare Before Christmas follows Jack Skellington. He's deeply adored in Halloween Town for his ability to scare people senseless each and every Halloween.
But Jack is becoming bored with doing the same old thing. He has a bit of an existential crisis in the woods and stumbles upon Christmas Town.
In Christmas Town, Jack becomes obsessed with the warmth, the lights, and cheer of Christmas Town, while performing one of the catchiest Christmas songs of all time in What's This? By Danny Elfman. In Christmas Town, Jack becomes obsessed with the warmth, the lights, and the cheer of Christmas, while performing one of the catchiest Christmas songs of all time in What's This? By Danny Elfman.
He comes back to Halloween Town and tries to convince everyone that they should take over Christmas, but everything they try and do has a Halloween twist, making everything unsettling.
Sally's the only one who sees what's happening and tries to warn Jack, but his greed consumes him and he sends little children to kidnap Santa Claus so he can take his place.
Unsurprisingly, the Halloween version of Christmas is a complete and total disaster. He terrifies families, and when the military eventually shoots him down, he finally realizes that he shouldn't chase someone else's holiday and should just appreciate his own.
Jack rushes to save Sally and Santa from Mr. Oogie Boogie, and Santa makes it back to Christmas Town and saves the day.
Yeah, we really enjoyed this movie. We've both watched it plenty of times before, and for me, I was really trying to focus on whether it is or not a Christmas movie this time, and the answer became clear. I definitely think that it is.
I don't really think so.
Oh?
You see, sure, it's got a lot of Christmas stuff in it, but it's also got a lot of Halloween stuff in it, too. It kind of comes in between the two holidays. Like Thanksgiving. You know what? This is a Thanksgiving movie.
You know what? Fine. What we do agree on is that the filmmaking is top tier here. The songs and music generally are great, the animation is impeccable, and such a breath of fresh air in contrast to the other two animated movies we've watched today. We gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
But we do have a quick side note. The director of this movie is Henry Selick, not Tim Burton. While Tim Burton did take part in the making of this film, Henry Selick and his team did a majority of the work and deserves a lot more credit and recognition for this masterpiece than they usually get.
Our Christmas scores were a little different. I felt as though the story itself really revolved around Christmas and Christmas only, but evidently it is acted out in Halloween Town by Halloweeny characters. We settled at a 6.5 out of 10.
The movie isn't hilarious and the LPM is pretty low, so don't be mad at us, but we went with a 5 out of 10 in comedy. If it got the same scoring system as Snooze McScrooge, it'd break the scale, but this is our ranking system and not yours.
Yeah, make your own Christmas ranking where you sit on the same couch for almost 24 hours straight. Then we can argue.
Mr. Oogie Boogie has some great musical numbers and is pretty fun, but lacks screen time and depth. We gave him a 6 out of 10.
And surprise, surprise, Jackson and I are in slight disagreement for the message of the film.
I think the film tells a message not to be greedy and to be thankful for what you have. It's pretty cute, 7 out of 10.
That might be what the film wanted to say, but all I actually got from it was that you should stay in your lane and never change. It's the only thing that ends up saving the day. To each their own type thing, and I don't agree with that. 2 out of 10.
So we're going to settle on a 5 here.
This gives us a final score of 31 out of 50.
Hey, that's not too bad for a Thanksgiving movie.
All right, it is 2:18 a.m. and this is hard. I mean, I like the movie that we just watched, The Nightmare Before Christmas, but it's so late, and we've been watching for so long, and we finally did it, Jackson. We got to the last movie. 9 down.
One's in the chat. One's in the chat, everyone.
How you feeling?
Yeah, it's really crashing down. I'm glad we saved Elf for the end. Before today, the most movies me and Leo had watched in one day or one sitting was 3 movies in a row. We're now going into number 10.
I don't want to be up anymore.
Elf, we're coming for you.
Dude, it's so tired.
Will Ferrell.
I can't even fucking speak. It's so late. I'm so tired. The camera couldn't even focus.
Let's get it.
All right, the final movie. Let's end with a bang.
Elf follows Buddy, played by Will Ferrell. And let's get this out of the way now. He's truly fucking amazing in this. The movie really does ride and die on his performance, and he does not disappoint.
Buddy's a human who accidentally gets taken to the North Pole as a baby, and he's raised by elves despite not fitting in at all. He's downright awful at all the other elf jobs, but there's one thing he's really good at: believing in Christmas.
When Santa finally tells Buddy that he's actually human, Buddy sets out on a quest to go find his real dad in New York City. Oh, and by the way, his dad, he's on the naughty list.
In New York, Buddy's having the time of his life and finds his dad, Walter, who's a cynical children's book publisher. Walter assumes that Buddy is just a mentally unwell person who is going crazy.
But Buddy's persistence and a lovely cameo from director Jon Favreau confirms that Buddy is truly Walter's son, and Walter brings Buddy home to meet his family. Buddy quickly falls in love with his new family and also sparks a romance with Zooey Deschanel.
Walter continues to choose work over his family, and when Will Ferrell and Peter Dinklage get into a little tussle, Walter kicks Buddy out of his life. Buddy runs away thinking that he ruined everybody's life and then goes to commit suicide. This is something I forget every time I watch this movie, but Buddy says I don't belong anywhere as he stands on the edge of a bridge. Pretty dark stuff.
Anyways, Buddy doesn't jump because he sees that Santa crashed into Central Park and goes to help him. Walter's son, Michael, finds out that Buddy ran away and goes to get his dad to help him look for Buddy. Finally, Walter changes his tune and says, "Up yours," to his work, and goes to help look for Buddy.
Buddy finds Santa's sleigh has crash landed in Central Park and it cannot fly. This is because not enough people believe in Santa. Walter and Michael find them and see that Buddy has been telling the truth this whole time. To save the day, Michael reads Santa's list on TV and shows people that Santa is real.
Even with all that, it's still not enough. So Zooey Deschanel remembers what Buddy said earlier in the movie about singing loud for Christmas stuff to hear, blah, blah, blah. Guys, it's been 19 hours, and we're so close to being done, so please just go with us. She finally gets a big enough crowd to sing, and bada bing, bada boom, the sleigh works, and Christmas is saved.
We get a nice little prologue of Buddy's future, and that's the movie.
This is a Christmas movie staple, and for good reason. But enough talking, this video is already way too long. Here are the scores for Elf.
We love Jon Favreau, and between his directing and Ferrell's amazing performance, this movie truly deserves an 8.5 out of 10.
For Christmasness, we had to go with a 9.5 out of 10. It perfectly marries the fantasy of Christmas with the realities of Christmas, and it strikes a perfect balance.
This movie was pretty high on the LPM, but we felt as though some of the gags are getting a little outdated, or maybe simply just getting old after so many viewings. Still, a respectable 8 out of 10.
We consider Walter to be the main villain of the story, and while I personally love his arc, he isn't the biggest or baddest villain. We went with a 6 out of 10.
We actually finally agree on the message this time, which is to find joy in life, and that growing up doesn't necessarily mean becoming boring. 7.5 out of 10.
This gives Elf a very impressive score of 39.5 out of 50.
It is 3:59, so we're a minute ahead of schedule.
You thought we were gonna be late. You thought we were gonna be here too late. Finished perfectly at 4 a.m. just as we planned.
I can't believe it. I actually cannot believe the word.
Did this journey start 20 hours ago? Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes, it did. Have we been sitting on this couch without sleeping and just watching Christmas movies for the past 20 hours? Yes, we have.
Which leaves our number one being somewhat anticlimactic because it was the first movie we watched, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. What can we say? It's just the perfect Christmas movie, and while we thought we were watching it as a baseline, it turned out to be the gold standard of Christmas movies, and nothing topped it all day.
And remember, while this is the movie we recommend, no matter what movie you choose to put on, as long as you're with your friends and your family, having a good time, you're experiencing what Christmas is truly all about.
We'll see y'all in the next one, but until then, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.